just trying to prepare C for life and give him some words of wisdom along the way.
Yeah.
And Lorenzo took that as kind of overstepping and especially just because Sonny was the guy who everyone feared, the gangster in town or in the city. So I think that's a big part of the problem, for the conflict between those two as well.
I think you're right, and I think the exact moment where that happened was when Colagidal became C. Like once he lost his real Italian name and became C from the streets, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He started to notice his son disappearing from him, slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly, little things here and there, like the baseball cards, not wanting to have steak, not when he's like, oh, I don't feel like having steak tonight. He's like, how many fucking kids would die to have, be having steak tonight?
Or how many times I have to drive this bus?
Yeah.
Right.
Up and down the block too, so you can have
six
steak.
times.
Yeah.
He's like, how do you know? I counted.
Yeah. So he's a very smart kid, and then also when he's like, oh, tell your father what you did. He's like, oh, I didn't do anything. He's like, are you lying? He's like, oh, I took a shot. And he's like, the mom's like, what? Are you listening to this? He's like, hey, the kid took a shot. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
He's all, thanks, Dad. See, that little bond that they had was something that I felt like Lorenzo and Colagidal had very strong. So when he started to feel like his son not do that, kind of be more,
not be there all the way.
Yeah, and then also you understand where he's coming from, because at the very end when he's talking to Sonny in his coffin, and he's like, Sonny, I never hated you. I just hated the fact that you made C grow up so fast. So I feel like, it wouldn't have been so bad if maybe he was older when he got to him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was that he still wanted his son to be able to be a kid.
Yeah.
And that all kind of washes away when
he witnesses a murder.
Well, when C witnesses Sonny gun somebody down, which wasn't Sonny's intention to do that. It just kind of happens, right?
Yeah.
And from that point on, it's kind of like this kind of a downward spiral. And then you have Lorenzo, obviously a very proud Sicilian,
mm-hmm.
who is struggling, because he's fighting this kind of inevitable battle with Sonny when he knows Sonny could easily win. He's got the money, the power.
Yeah, you see that specifically when he's at the fight, at the boxing match, and he's like, has these seats all the way up in the nosebleeds.
Yes.
And then he's like, Jimmy Whispers comes over. He's like, hey, Sonny was like, you guys come down and sit down by the boxing ring. He's all, nah, I think we're good right here. He's all, well, if you change these minds, you both.
What's his seats?
Yeah. Have a good one,
Lorenzo. With that scene, something I caught when I rewatched it was in that particular scene with Jimmy. I think it's Jimmy Whispers, right? He's talking to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he comes up to him and he's telling them, like what you said, Sonny would like you to come down and sit with him. He's got some seats for you. And the dad says, no, thank you. Tell Sonny I said thank you, but no, thank you. We're good where we are.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's staring at him, and then he looks over to C
for
confirmation.
Yeah, he does.
His dad's opinion doesn't matter. It's whatever C wants to do, because he looks at him and he's still waiting there for C to say something. He's like, just tell Sonny, thanks, but we're good here. And he's like, okay, if you wants to come down, where our seats are,
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, like the disrespect for Lorenzo is real.
For real, is because it was almost like he said the exact same thing Lorenzo said, but it was like confirmation from C, because almost like Sonny told Jimmy, like, go up there and only listen to what C says.
Or maybe he thought C would come alone.
Yeah. That's true too,
because then they have that big fight.
If you want to go down there, just fucking go down there.
You think I want to be here with you when you want to be down there?
Yeah, he's like, so. Also, he's already like a man. That dude. He's like 18 or 17, and he's like noticing the disrespect that he's inadvertently throwing at Lorenzo, his dad, just because his boy, his friend, like, you know what I'm saying, like,
kind of mentor.
Yeah, imagine like your 17-year-old and then fucking this big ass mafia dude's like, trying to talk to him, like, and he's not listening to your dad, he's listening to you, like, it's kind of like, what the fuck. So I can get why De Niro got pissed off about that shit. Like, what the
yeah.
And he even says, like, I work hard for these fucking seats,
I pay for my seats.
So I feel like he felt really bad about that.
And that's a bit from the new Broadway musical, A Bronx Tale, based on the cult favorite film, which was based on the one-man Broadway show, which was inspired by the monologue Chaz Palminteri wrote for acting class way back in his struggling actor days. And he's here now to tell us about his amazing Bronx Tale. Chaz, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Congratulations on the musical. It's super fun. Did you think immediately, this story lends itself to song and dance?
Yeah, I always felt that. Actually, when I was doing the one-man show, I said, wow, this could be a great musical, because it had all the themes of racism, of father, son, of very operatic themes about life and making the right choices, and the choices you make will shape your life. And I just thought if I could take this maybe one day to music, it would be great. But it was the one-man show first, which was successful. Then Robert De Niro walked in and he saw it. Well, when I first did it, everybody wanted it. Everybody. There was like Rocky, and then was Sylvester Stallone, then there was me with Bronx Tale, and I got offered $1 million. It got up to $1 million to walk away, and I just said no. I said, because I want to play Sonny, and I want to write the screenplay because it's about my life.
And Robert De Niro said, let's do this together.
Robert De Niro agreed to that and said, okay, let's do it.
Let's do this. Now, let's go back and talk about A Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
It's such a great story, starting with an 8-year-old boy witnessing a murder in front of his stoop. Did all of this stuff really happen to you?
Yeah, well, in fact, the way you see it in the movie and the way you see it on Broadway is exactly the way it happened. I mean, I was sitting on the stoop, and I saw these two cars, and I thought one was pulling in, he tried to stop him, and I thought they were fighting over the parking space. I said, oh, man, there's going to be a fight now. And one guy got out with a baseball bat and smashed the window, and the guy got out, his face was covered with blood, and the guy with the bat was going to hit him again. And the other guy came over and killed him right in front of me, 5 feet away.
And the murderer then ended up being Sonny.
Yes.
The gangster with a heart of gold.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And is that all true?
Yeah, see, that's the thing that makes, Tanya, that's the thing that makes the story so unique, because it's not like good and evil.
Right.
It's really the father and Sonny was telling the boy the same thing, exactly the same, you see.
And did you really have that romance with an African American girl in your
Yes, and this is 1968. The girl, I met this black girl, and she was beautiful, and we were sneaking around, and
it's an amazing story. Why do you think it resonates with so many people?
It's a very good question. Here's good here, and it's not black and white. It's gray and gray.
Yeah, and that's
so the boy takes the best of both men and becomes a man.
Now let's talk about you, Chaz. When do you decide to become an actor?
Oh, I wanted to be an actor back then when I was 10.
Okay.
10, 11 years old. I used to imitate the wise guys on the corner, and everybody would laugh. So I knew I wanted to be on stage, and I knew I wanted to be an actor.
And what do you think of that little kid playing you? He's amazing.
Oh, Hudson is... He's scary.
He was scary how good he is.
He's scary.
You played Sonny in the film,
yes.
and what do you think about handing over the mantle of Sonny? Was that okay?
Oh, well, Nick Cordero was... Look, I knew Sonny was... I always felt, maybe it was my ego, that Sonny was going to be the hardest character to cast. Because, originally, because Bob asked me for me to do it, because I do sing. And I just said, you know what? I really didn't want to do it. I just felt it was too much. I felt I did the one-man show, I wrote it. I did the movie, I wrote it. I'll write the musical, but I don't want to be in it.
Now tell us about the restaurant business. Are you enjoying that?
I'm loving it. My restaurant, and I say this, I'm telling you, I have one of the finest restaurants anywhere. And you can go on Zagat's and come to my restaurant. It's a 5-star restaurant. Because of the Broadway show, I'm there a lot.
Great.
When I'm in town, I could be there 3-4 times a week.
All right. Well, Chaz Palminteri, thank you so much for coming to see us. And congratulations on all your success.
I appreciate it, Tanya. Thank you very much.
So, yeah.
I think another thing, going back to the race thing, and you get to see kind of Steve's character really when he's from a different. You can tell his mindset is totally different than his friends, because every time, even when they're kids, and they see the city bus drive by, and there's like 2 or 3 black kids in there, and they're like, "Oh, get the fuck out of here! Go back to your own side of the town or whatever." And they're throwing their sticks at him and stuff. And
yeah, throughout the film, you see that C has a different perspective, on race than his buddies, and that's why I think that Sonny knows that the crowd that C's hanging out with is no good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, did you guys notice?
He knows they're all a bunch of wannabes, pretty much.
That's true. Did you guys notice that their little hangout spot, right?
Deuces Wild.
It says Deuces Wild, and I think that's where, if you watch the Deuces Wild film from 2001, obviously of the same name, they even open up the film the exact same way a Bronx Tale opens up the film.
Yeah, I can see them taking that idea and running from it, because that's a strong idea. It's iconic to have a gang like that in the Deuces Wild. Mm-hmm. Just to touch on what you guys were saying about C having that struggle between his friends, he kind of tells them like they're not doing anything, but also he kind of he fucks up, dude, because he says some shit to.
Oh yeah.
Drops the N-bomb.
Yeah, to the brother, and it kind of like he was so frustrated and trying to convince Jane and his brother that I was trying to fucking help you more than anything. And looking back on it, he when he says that, he immediately regrets it, and he's like kind of fucks up, like he's like fuck, but
it's because first, C lies to Jane. He says, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there when your brother was attacked, which was a lie.
Which was a lie, yes.
So then when the brother comes out of the car and comes over, and he was like, he was there, and he immediately looks like a liar already.
Yes.
Because then he starts to admit that and then he's like, well, I was there, but I didn't hurt your brother. I tried to help him. And at that point, then her brother is already mad, and he was just like,
It was you. He was getting real aggressive with them.
Yeah, and then C, out of frustration, drops the N-bomb, and then the brother's like, "See, he's just like the rest of his friends. Like he's no different."
Yeah.
But then later, when Jane and her brother walks away, later on, the brother, I guess he feels guilty, and he tells Jane like, "Yo, he really did try to help me. He was telling the truth."
Yep. So it kind of
but he fucked up by doing it.
Yeah, he did fuck up. So when I when I was like, when I had first seen it, that really fucking surprised me, because I was like, yo, you just pretty much ruined your
shot. Yeah,
with the chick, and that's fucking, she's hot, Jane. But at the same time, I was like, yo, you're pretty much turning into what Sonny was saying, like your friends are a bunch of jerk-offs, so now you're turning in to that type of, there's an old theory, if you hang out with dogs, you get fleas, and that's what he was doing. He was becoming like a fucking little racist fuck, pretty much.
Yeah.
But it shows you the mentality of how it was in the boroughs of the Bronx back then, and just how on a political point of view, how sad it look. It's still kind of much like that, where you have the Italians on one block, the Puerto Ricans on another block, the black community on one block, and the Jewish community on one block.
But when you see when the film takes you inside the public school, everyone's together.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was interesting because they're able to, obviously because they don't want to get in trouble, but they tolerate each other in the school, and then it becomes a different story once they're in their own like segregated neighborhoods.
Which is kind of ironic because if you